future on the stage. There's only one place to spend the summer.
You're going to Camp Rock.
And to get in, they've got to bring the moves.
I love hands up.
The sound.
Wow, she's amazing.
And the look.
Which color? They're exactly the same. So you see my dilemma.
But it's best to leave behind
Pop star phenom Shane Gray needs to clean up his act.
the attitude.
I don't want to waste my summer at some camp. Hey, man, we used to love this place.
Hey, both got classes to teach. Yours starts in 5.
In a place where your friends are your competition.
This is not amateur night.
There's a difference between standing out
How long did you think you could keep your little secret?
and standing alone.
I have no choice. I've got to ban you from the rest of camp activities.
It's just for once, I just wanted to fit in and be popular. You know, just once. Do you know what it's like to feel so in the dark?
I heard this girl singing, and it kind of reminded me of the music that I liked. Hello? Who's in here?
From Disney Channel comes a story about finding your sound and raising your voice.
That's the song.
Starring Joe, Kevin, and Nick Jonas.
Much better.
And introducing Demi Lovato with Megan Jet Martin and Allison Stoner. It's Disney Channel's most rockin' original movie yet. Camp Rock. Premieres Friday, June 20th at 8, 7 Central.
Hi, Ian.
Hello, Kayla.
This is totally the first time that we're talking today.
This is the first time we're talking today, and this is the first time I've done a podcast. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the podcast. We are so happy to have you. I said we, I meant me. I'm very happy to have you.
You can speak in the royal we. You have earned that.
All right, well, Ian and I are doing a 2-part generational series about movies, and the movie I have picked is the legendary Camp Rock circa 2008.
Camp Rock!
And we're going to do an honest review of Camp Rock, complete with camper awards and everything. But first, Ian, would you like to help me set the stage for 2008?
I would love to. Since I am old enough to remember it, Kayla, let me be your guide. It was 2008. President Barack Obama had recently been sworn in as the President of the United States, ushering in a lot of hope and optimism for this country. Optimism that was quickly dashed by the global financial crisis that quickly came on the heels of his inauguration. It seemed to be a dark year everywhere. Heath Ledger died that year.
Oh, no.
If you remember that. There was a writer's strike in Hollywood that led to the cancellation and the postponement of many of people's favorite shows and movies. I remember just today that the Golden Globes ended up being canceled that year. MySpace fell to number 2 amongst the world's most popular social media websites, getting knocked off by a little-known site that now controls and sways world events. And in the midst of all this, Kayla, a little movie that could. It just wouldn't quit, about a bunch of music-obsessed teens, landed on the Disney Channel on June 20th, 2008. It starred most notably Joe Jonas, who brought along his brothers Nick and Kevin. And it was the first really big splash of one Demetria Lovato, who went on to become a huge pop singer and performer. Kayla, we are here to talk about Camp Rock. And Kayla, since I completely missed the first Camp Rock revolution, will you please tell me what you remember about young Kayla watching Camp Rock?
Yes. In 2008, I was freshly 9 years old, and I had my hot pink iPod Nano, which was full of only Jonas Brothers songs and songs from SpongeBob. And this is right when my mom and I started reading Harry Potter, so there's like a bit of an internal war between my love for Joe Jonas and my love for Rupert Grint. But ultimately, at this point in time, Joe Jonas was winning. So I had those wall stickers of the Jonas Brothers, and it said preppy cool because they were in like school uniforms, and it was like the in thing for their TV show. Yeah, I don't really remember watching the premiere that much, but I know my friends and I were all like so into it, and we're like, I just want to be Mitchie, but I'm like, I'm shy, I can't be Mitchie.
Ooh, so who were you if you had a Camp Rock doppelganger?
You know, I think I would want to be like the guy who comes in with his little drumsticks and just like hits everything.
Percussion for days in this movie.
Because I can't really dance. I don't sing. So
Neither could most of the people in this movie.
this is correct. That's a true.
You grew, you continued to watch this movie. Like, if you could say how many times, approximately, rounded up to 10, have you seen this film?
Camp Rock 1? Probably at least 6. Camp
Okay.
Rock 2, however, probably upwards of like 10 or 12.
Wow.
Because for some reason, I really like the second one better, but I just tried to rewatch the second one, and I was like, this is not it. I can't do it, and I turned it off. But I told you, I usually will go under, like, my blankets if I can't sleep, and I'll just put on Camp Rock 2, and I will just jam out to that.
The safety of a Camp Rock 2?
Yeah.
I'm worried about if we're lucky enough to get to whatever film I choose that I remember from when I was about the age when you watched Camp Rock, that I will feel the same way about my film and turn it off halfway through and say, why did I spend so much time watching that ridiculous movie?
Unfortunately, that happens a lot. I rewatched a bunch of Disney Channel movies with my mom, and I was like, wow, the acting in this is really bad.
I think we're going to get to that later, too.
Oh, of course. But you still want to be them. You're like, the acting's terrible, but I want to be them.
I remember subbing at Camp CMT, and I think this was 2012 or 2013, and I had never heard of Camp Rock, which kind of just proves my point that I'm always about 4 years behind the times. And it was it was a camp recital, like it was the final project for the parents. So I was subbing for the recital class and listening to them say their lines. And Kayla, you know this very well too, because you've been in that class before. Because normally those shows, they're kind of like book reports or synopses of the show that they're, kind of doing in shortened form, like a 20-minute version of Aladdin. So you'll normally have two scared out of their minds 8-year-olds, and they'll be walking up to the microphone and saying kind of like in semi-unison, later that night, Jasmine is sad. Aladdin pulls up to her balcony on his magic carpet. Jasmine is scared to ride with him, but Aladdin says, do you trust me? And then they kind of break into a whole new world, and then you skip another 20 minutes of the movie, and then, you go. So now I'm subbing in this class, and they're doing Camp Rock, which I think is a fake name because I'm at camp, so I just think they're doing a recital about rock music, and they're calling it Camp Rock. But apparently there is a show called Camp Rock, but they're telling me the plot of this movie, but it's the same, different versions of the same scared 8-year-old kids walking up to the microphone, but now they're saying things like, after her fight with Caitlin, Mitchie is sad. She walks along the water with a big box of tortilla chips. There she finds Shane Gray sitting with a guitar in his hands. He sings about the songs that he wants to sing. And then, 2 8-year-old kids break into a chorus of Gotta Have You.
Yes.
And my mind is blown. I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. But then going on to direct a few more shows, I cannot count the number of times I've heard This Is Me or Here I Am By the way, can we talk about how unfortunate it is to put This Is Me and Here I Am, those two titles, in the same show, especially back to back? It's like, is this Is Me or is this Here I Am? Because you're kind of saying the same thing. This is me.
True.
Here I am. Here I am. This is me. Anyway, over the years, so I became really familiar with Camp Rock, almost so much that I was reticent to ever see it until you challenged me to watch it a couple weeks ago. And thank goodness you did, because boy, is my life a lot richer now. I'm enrolling tomorrow in Camp Rock. I will be there. I will see you. Bring your drumsticks.
I will bring my drumsticks.
Well, shall we get going?
Yeah, let's kick off this award show.
All right. Well, it is. Have you had an award show on your podcast yet?
No, the closest thing is we did a top 5 Marvel movie beatdown.
Marvel, yeah. I loved that one. So this is kind of like that. It's, you know, I went to science camp. I was never cool enough to go to summer camp, but I went to science camp. And at the end of science camp, you know, you have a big awards ceremony, and they gave out different awards. I'm positive that I didn't win any of them. Did you go to any camps when you were younger, Kayla?
I did. I went to this camp, Camp Parma, for like 4 or 5 years when I was like really small. And then I did one tech camp at the tech museum where you learn how to code video games. And then the sleepaway camp that 5th graders do. And then, of course, Camp CMT for the past like 7 years.
But you were in a different role there. You
yes,
were the Brown,
I worked there.
At that camp.
Yes, we run this camp.
We rock.
Yes, we do.
I do remember at my science camp, we did have this award, and this was for Best Camp Skit. I went to Camp Campbell back in, 1980-something, and I guess we had to perform skits about the environment.
We did, too.
Yeah, and I remember that ours was very terrible, and I definitely played a non-speaking character, a.k.a. like Fourth Rock to the left. But our first award is for Best Camp Skit, and this is for the best scene in Camp Rock. Kayla, I'm imagining you at, age 9, age 10, and it's that scene that no matter where you are in life, if it's on television, you're going to stop and you're just going to watch those 4 minutes. It's longer than just a single line or a little exchange of dialogue. It's like, oh, it's this scene. I love this scene. So in your mind, what gets Best Camp Skit?
In my mind, hands down, it is when Mitchie and Shane sing together for the first time. But not the entirety of Final Jam. I simply do not care about anybody else. When Mitchie is singing and Shane is like, that's her, that's the girl, and that's the song, and then he starts singing and she just catches on and knows his lyrics, and then they're like singing together and they're like pulsing whatever with their mics intertwined. I'm like, wow.
It works really well, I know.
And then her mom is just like vibing in the audience like, wow, that's my daughter, and like a grown man, and I'm like, wow, I want to be her so bad.
There are so many things about this. So you're going with when they sing together at the end.
Yes. When they sing, when they realize that this is the other person each time, they forget all of their like, oh, she lied about her identity. Like, forget all that. He's like, this is the girl. I love her voice.
That captures so many great moments. Number one is that, he's standing with his brothers when that happens, and you get like, you think moment.
Yeah.
with Kevin and Nick, but then it also leads into this great moment where you get to see a lot of the people who are working as extras for the day at Camp Rock, and they are fascinating. They are great throughout the movie.
I love the extras.
They're awesome in any of the cafeteria scenes. They're great at the campfire jam.
They're just like...
Yeah. And so many of them are trying to pull focus from the actual people we should be watching. Fun fact, IMDb trivia is that at the final jam, both Demi Lovato's and the Jonas Brothers' parents were in the audience. You can see them bopping around to the final jam. I do love this scene. It works with this whole movie in that it really straddles the line between your classic musical, where you have these fantasy moments, but also it's Camp Rock, so you should be watching people performing. Like, for instance, it's one thing to say, oh, Zac Efron and his boys are on the basketball court,
Right.
and the musical number erupts. And you slip into that, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to suspend my disbelief and watch this happen. That's exciting. But when you're at Camp Rock, you kind of expect to see people perform, but there is still that, like you said, suspension of disbelief in that, yeah, of course he knows all the words, and of course he's rehearsed his harmony part, and they all have the choreography. So sometimes that can be really successful in this movie, and sometimes, as in the case of Joe Jonas's dance class, it can be less successful.
This is correct.
I totally will stand up for this as your choice for best scene. I will give you, and I will sign off on this, I will give you my other nominees for this.
I'm ready.
And I do want to preface that I think there could be more best scenes. I just realized that for every great scene, there is an incredibly cringy moment of dialogue
Yes.
in almost every scene of this movie, which makes it lovable, but it's hard to pick a best scene. Like, the scenes with Tess and Peggy and with Ella are all really fun until one of them ends up saying something really ridiculous. There's Uncle Brown. He has these really great moments, and then, Uncle Brown does something completely cringy. But the ones that I loved, the meet cute between Shane and Mitchie in the kitchen with the flower on her face, it's great.
That's a choice.
In every movie, you have to have the two people meet, and they do this one. It feels like an old-time movie that once again gets slightly ruined with some of his just jerky behavior.
Yeah.
We just kind of wish he could be a nicer person.
Like, stop being mean to her.
But I also do love Joe at the docks singing Gotta Have You, which our eight-year-old referred to earlier with their wonderful synopsis of the show. But I feel like that part of the movie is the moment where the whole movie kind of clicks for the first time. We actually see both of those performers, Demi and Joe, like at their charismatic best. I think up to this point in the movie, Joe's been trying to be this like teen rebel. I'm angsty and I'm angry, and that's not really his strongest suit. And in this moment, we see him relax and he smiles and he's really charismatic. He's very charming. And if you watch Demi react to him as he's singing the song, we have all these just follow shots of her as she's listening to him sing, and all of her reactions are so genuine. And you read in an interview later about, of course, their romance, and she talks about how that moment at the docks was when she kind of started to fall in love with him. And you see it happen, and it's really kind of cute. Although it is super duper weird that Joe is harmonizing with himself. He is like alone on the docks and singing, and then a second voice comes in. And that's another one of those moments where it's like, how do you balance the real world musical element? But those are my other two for best scene. But I'm totally on board with that element of the final jam being the one.
The dock scene is really good. I couldn't get over their canoe thing though, but that's because I have my background in rowing, and so being like a starboard 3-seat, I'm like, you need a coxswain in the boat. You can't be facing each other. Like, you need to like pull and then stop at the finish. Like, feather your blades, guys.
Why didn't they call the movie Feather Your Blades?
I don't know. I think that would have been an excellent choice for a title.
It would have been. Our next award goes to the tidiest camper. Now, again, at Camp Kayla, I know that I was not the tidiest camper. I probably didn't tuck my bunk bed in and, get all the corners straight, but I know that some campers do. And the tidiest camper award goes to what still looks good. Kayla, after all these years, after watching Camp Rock, when you watch it now in 2021, you look at it and you think, yeah, that's still pretty good.
You know?
What? I'm going to give you some nominees.
Yes, tell me yours.
You tell me what you like. I would say the fun of summer camp, like getting away from the routine of everyday life and escaping. You know, I think Mitchie takes it to the extreme, obviously, but the idea that you can recreate yourself in a different surrounding, like around different people, still feels really exciting. And I was kind of looking at it through a 2020, 2021 COVID experience lens, thinking, yeah, I would love to just get away and not know people, and I could just be anyone I wanted to. That would be pretty great right now. That's one nominee I had. One is just being young. I think packing all of your stuff like into 2 bags and falling into a new group of friends that you might only have for a couple weeks. That stuff does not happen when you're old. And having consistency like definitely has its benefits, but I would say that the concept of being young and like irresponsible still holds way up, in my opinion. My third nominee are those trumpet kegs in the cafeteria that you can get juice from. Those dispensers.
Okay,
Press the button, press a key, and like juice comes out of it. Like if there is a music fraternity out there that is not having great parties without like those trumpet keg dispensers, you're doing things the wrong way. And then my final nominee is pop music, because even when it's not its best, as I don't think it's at its best in Camp Rock, pop music is still really great. Too many times during this movie, even when my head was thinking of like snarky things to say about Camp Rock, my foot was still tapping. And you know what still sounds great is that emo, pop, cry, male sound, kind of reminiscent of Dashboard Confessional or Secondhand Serenade or Good Charlotte or what have you, that Joe Jonas brings to life in this movie. Like, it is still pure pop perfection, and after all these years, I think it still really holds up.
See,
What about you?
I feel bad because yours were all like cute and sentimental, and I just went straight for objectifying men. I just wrote the Jonas Brothers.
Yes!
Because I wanted to date them back then, and like, let me tell you, it's been 13 years and I would still date them now.
I'm going to pause you right there, Kayla. Not only do they still look good, they have aged like fine wines.
Yeah, some men age like milk, and these are not them.
We should talk about the Jonas Brothers because, well, first of all, you know, one Mr. Taylor Lautner was originally approached to play Shane Gray, which would have been very interesting. He was coming hot off, what's that, Lava?
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
There we go. Thank you. Shark Boy and Lava. And Taylor Lautner was in the mix for this. And then they discovered Joe Jonas, whose original audition tape they thought was a little wooden. Surprise. But then he impressed them with a callback. And somehow he ended up wrangling his brothers into this movie. And they weren't supposed to be in it at all. And I would say that the movie is greatly enhanced by the presence of all the Joe Bros. They are fantastic in this, and just a little nod to that is that our friend Nick Jonas is going to be on Saturday Night Live this weekend, Saturday, although by the time this podcast posts, we might regret saying that because it might not be very good. But I bet it will be because he's awesome.
Yes, congratulations, Nick, on Spaceman. I can't wait to listen to it.
How many times have you seen the Jonas Brothers in concert?
Twice, but they were both last year, 2 years ago. They're both in 2019. I went once in October with my best buddy Amelia, and I was like, wow, this is so good. I need to take my mom. And so I immediately went home. I bought tickets for December, and I took her and my friend Sarah with me, and we went to go see them a second time.
Mrs. K has seen the Jonas Brothers in
She
concert?
has seen them in the flesh, and she knows all the lyrics.
What were her thoughts? I want to know.
She really liked it. I mean, you'll have to ask her in person, but she has always been a Nick
I can't!
girl.
You live in Texas!
We'll have to call her. She loves
Okay.
Nick. We always fight about which one is, like, the best Jonas brother. I don't know. Did you know that, Lovely Deanna was lab partners with Kevin Jonas in middle school?
I do remember that. Small bit of trivia, which
Wow.
only extends to like you and me, but it's still a great piece of trivia.
Guys, our boss was lab partners with Kevin Jonas in 9th grade.
Jersey, baby, Jersey.
I'm jealous. I love Kevin.
Next award, Miss Kayla. Now, now I'm going to camp talk because now you're Miss Kayla.
Oh boy.
Next award, Miss Kayla, goes for messiest camper. So this is the opposite of what we just talked about. Is that now, in 2021, what doesn't hold up? What do you look at now and think, if this movie were released today, they probably would have done something different with it. I will start with the nominees.
Yes.
My first one revolves around one of my faves in this movie, Uncle Brown Cesario. It's not the best sign of a movie when you meet a character who has an accent, and just the whole tone of the movie immediately makes you think, is that accent real? And when he starts off, I thought maybe because of the way he was dressed, is he Australian? And then pretty soon I was like, no, he's doing kind of a British thing, but he can't be real. It's got to be fake, right? And then you go on his IMDb page,
It's
and
not fake.
he is, in fact, a really hardworking British actor. He's been in a ton of things.
I
So
googled
it's just-
the same thing because I was like, this is so pompous. This must be fake. And I googled it because I was like, that is a choice. And it's real. So I'm like, he gets a pass. It's his real accent, but okay.
He gets a pass. He has done quite a lot of work.
I literally wrote it on the paper. I was gonna say brown, but he's actually British.
Seriously, you should do a podcast, Kayla. Yeah, his name is Daniel Fathers, and he's a hardworking British actor. It's just the company he was keeping at the time really made me doubt the sincerity of his accent. But what was kind of cringeworthy for me, he's just completely too touchy in this movie.
Yeah.
He's so touchy. He's really his signature move is he likes to put an arm over people's shoulders, and he doesn't discriminate. Uncle Brown is like equal opportunity. Boys, girls, his nephew, Uncle Brown loves him some shoulders. He has this really strange move midway through the movie where he leans in so close to Joe Jonas that I really thought he was going to kiss his earlobe, and he just says, "You've got to instruct." And I just thought, wow, that is so intense, Mr. Camp Leader. So Uncle Brown, he's up there with has not quite aged so well. The use of mutual hats and microphones in the Joe Jonas dance class.
Yeah.
Now seeing it from a COVID perspective, I was like, you just can't
Gross.
swap microphones and hats like that. You're going to have to sterilize that. Those are going to have to live in a cave 6 feet away, everybody. Similarly, Joe Jonas's dance moves. Now,
Yeah.
Kayla, when you saw this, when you were 9 or 10, did you notice that maybe a man who made his living behind a guitar wasn't as at ease on the dance floor as other people?
You can definitely tell compared to the other guys in the movie who are like specifically dancers, but also I was like too focused on like, wow, look how he's taking charge of this class, like that's so cool.
You saw him as a go-getter.
Yeah, I was like, wow, my idol.
He was so angry, tossing in that CD like he did.
Just throw it like a frisbee across the room.
Boom. And my last one would just be Tessa's relationship with her mother. I can tell what they were trying to accomplish with that, certainly with us getting a little bit more sympathy for Tess. But it almost would have been more effective at the end if Tessa's mother had not shown up at all. But I think her coming, and first of all, I don't know why people weren't going crazy over this star that we've heard so much about. She sits casually at the end of the bench, and then she gets this phone call halfway through. First of all, wouldn't the entire audience have turned and thought, oh my goodness, Tessa's mom is getting a phone call? But then she kind of sneaks off and she's having this conversation in the middle of her daughter's performance and then hangs up. I know what they were trying to accomplish with Tess not having a good relationship with her mom, but that didn't really achieve what they were looking for, I don't think. So I'm giving that maybe messiest camper right now.
That makes sense, yeah. I always questioned that scene because I could never really, 100% figure out what they were trying to do. But I put, well, of course, the writing, but I also put, I put the straightened hair on the Jonas Brothers because it's horrendous. And then also Kevin Jonas's acting, but in a way where it's not against him, because he's just doing what they tell him to do. But in every Camp Rock movie, in his show, they make him play the stupid one. So every single time, the, the archetype that they're trying to go for, Joe is the cool one, Nick is the I don't care, but I'm smart, and Kevin is the stupid one. And he's not stupid. I love Kevin, and they just totally, dig him into this hole, because everyone's already Joe and Nick are the cute ones, and so he's already to the side, and I'm now you gotta make him look dumb. Stop doing my boy Kevin dirty like that. I don't know. They gave
him all the great scarves, though.
That's true. I think it's more...
Neckwear in this movie is top notch.
It's less his acting and more the writer's portrayal of him in every aspect of his life.
I'm glad you said that because I have some Kevin Jonas thoughts later.
Okay, I will keep that in mind.
And I'm also really glad to hear that you are a fan of what we will call for now the third Jonas brother. The one, who only casual fans don't know the name of.
Don't forget the fourth one, too.
Well, sure, but I haven't seen Camp Rock, remember? That's still a surprise. Yes. All right, our next award goes for Best Camp Motto. So, Kayla, since you have both been at camp and worked at camp, what are some things you remember often being said at those camps? For instance, at Camp Campbell, I remember it would say, pinky clap, and we would all, clap. I'm sure you can't even hear this in the microphone. We would clap our pinkies together because they didn't want a bunch of fifth graders going ooga booga nuts in the cafeteria. And then, of course, at Camp CMT, we'd have 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and things like that. What are things that you remember from your camp experiences?
Definitely from teaching at camp, we hear a lot of oh, you guys are going cuckoo crazy. I've heard many, many, many a time, Hebe Flobu from one Mr. Tony.
I was going to say, is that a Mr. Tony? Hebe Flobu. It's Gooski Booski.
We get the same little jokes. Safety first, no blood. I get a lot of how old are you? And I'm guess how old I am. And they're 34. And I'm how old is your mom? They're 23. I'm do I look older than your mom? I don't think so.
What do they say to that?
They say, I don't know.
So, Best Camp Motto goes to, what's a line of dialogue from the movie that you can repeat after many years? Through several watchings, it's become a part of your daily vernacular. Is there a line from this movie that you repeat amongst all of your friends? Do you have nominees for this one?
I do. I have 2 nominees for this one.
Okay.
How many do you have?
I have, so glad you asked. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 9 or 10. I just wrote down things that made me giggle.
Okay, do you want to start with yours or should I start with mine?
I can start with mine because I feel like you're going to give me the right answer, and I just want to give, people their choice. I'm all about democracy here.
All right, let's revisit some amazing quotes from this movie.
All right, I will say it is tough in a movie that has exchanges like this, where Shane Gray says, you mean than my usual stupid cookie cutter pop star stuff? Sorry to disappoint. And then Mitchie says, you didn't. I liked it. I mean, it was good for stupid cookie cutter pop star stuff. And Shane Gray says, wow, you really know how to make a guy feel better. And on paper, that sounds like a sarcastic, cutting remark. Like, wow, you really know how to make a guy feel better. But if you read it, it's one thing. But if you listen to it as performed by the very handsome and well-coiffed Joe Jonas, it's totally different. I feel like Joe Jonas in this movie got like an actor's bag of tricks that had two things in it. One was genuinely pleasant, and two was over-the-top, angsty mean. And in this scene, Joe Jonas was plumb out of sarcasm. So when he says it, he says, wow, you really know how to make a guy feel better. He sounds really authentic, and I kind of believe him. And that's where this whole movie got very confusing for me, because I didn't know if I was watching real life or I was watching Joe Jonas's impression of real life. Anyway, that's one of them. Number 2, I'm Shane, but I'm sure even the kitchen help knows that.
Oh my god.
That is said in the Meet Cute with Mitchie when she has the flour all over her face. We do not see enough of Lola in this movie. We can talk about that later. But Caitlin says this to Mitchie when Mitchie says she's amazing. Caitlin says, yeah, she should be. Her mom's on Broadway. I do appreciate that little nod to the Broadway. There is one moment when Mitchie is introducing herself to Peggy and to Ella and to Tess. And she says, I'm Mitchie. And then Tess says something irrelevant of that. And then in the next cut to Demi, she says, I'm Mitchie Torres, as if they didn't hear her the first time. Go back and rewatch it. It's one of the most remarkable things where it's like maybe they didn't catch it in the editing room, and we can say a lot about that in this movie. But she literally just says, I'm Mitchie. Blah, 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 nothing related to that. I'm Mitchie Torres.
Hi, I'm Mitchie. Oh, hi. I'm Tess Tyler. I know. Wow, I love your mom. Of course you do. I'm Mitchie Torres.
And you just think, maybe it's really hard to hear in that room right now. My other favorite Mitchie Torres quote is, yum toast. Because I think that's something we all get behind.
Yum
it's just
toast.
Yum toast. Toast is delicious. And Mitchie Torres is here to tell us about it. Ella has a few quotes that I just love. San Jose's own Ana Maria Perez de Tagle. And it's a classic example of maybe not putting all of the best quotes of the movie into the movie trailer. But you see my dilemma is fantastic.
That's a good one.
I think that's something that you can use in everyday life. Kayla, how would you use that quote in just a normal day of Kayla in Texas? If I was like, so you get to have Texas barbecue or Kansas City barbecue, Kayla, you would say,
so you see my dilemma.
I mean, it works for everything. She also says later, but you are responding by saying that you're not responding, which is a nice moment with Tess that I do like.
That was a good one, too.
And then we go to my good friend and aforementioned Uncle Brown, where he says, you gotta brag, love. I learned that from the mixter, Jagger. So weird, so creepy. He's wearing that same costume that he wears almost the entire
Every
movie.
day.
Every day, except for like the final 2 days. I would his costumes in this movie are a little bit out of the world, in that he does wear that same outfit every day, except in the penultimate scene to the final jam, he wears a khaki shirt, kind of like reminiscent of Steve Irwin when he was going to go out and like alligators. And then he changes into his, like, you know, Uncle Brown formal wear, where it's the same shirt, but it's leather. And he wears that at the final jam. Anyway, I'm still trying to understand him. And then he says, if the class is a knockin', I'm a glad I came knockin'. That's really creepy. Really creepy way for a teacher to enter the room. But the one that he says that I do love, and I want to introduce this into my life more, is now get out there, steal their hearts, and rocket puppet. I think rocket puppet is sadly missing from discourse in the world these days.
Please say that in your class.
I think you're doing it every day, Kayla. I think you are rocking it, puppet. But my favorite quote goes back to your friend, Mr. Kevin Jonas. And it's basically anything revolving this topic, so I will just pick the first one, and that's, oh, and can you make me a birdhouse or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will laugh at basically anything Kevin Jonas says. I am not upset by the fact that they make him the dumb one because he embraces it and he owns it. He makes it his own, and in a movie full of non-funny things, I find him to be one of the truly humorous things in this film.
Good for Kevin.
What are your best camp mottos? Put me to shame.
The one that my friends and I always quote as like a joke though is we'll go up to each other and we're like, whatever major loser, like that is the one. And then I also wrote like the entire song Gotta Find You, because I will sing that any day, not in public. But I'm going to put a clip in, but I have the video of us singing it at the concert because, of course, Joe Jonas performs it, and I was like, let me be your Demi. I can do it.
So this is great. I'm so glad I have you here to talk to about this, because I've never been to a Jonas Brothers concert. So at their concerts, they will perform like material from their Camp Rock days.
Yes, so they did this whole mashup of like their old songs, because of course it's a tour for like their newer album. But
Yeah.
you know, they had like some Year 3000, they had Paranoid, they had Burnin' Up, and I felt bad because there was like this little 7-year-old girl behind me, and she was like having a hard time seeing, but I was like, I'm so
Pay your dues, girl.
unapologetic.
Pay your dues.
I
Grow
was
up.
like, I've been here waiting for this for like over 10 years. Like, you were not even born when they started. Like, you can wait your turn, because she like doesn't even know the words. She's like rocking out to like, what is it, Sucker. And I'm here like singing When You Look Me in the Eyes, like at the top of my lungs, like ugly crying. Like, wow.
You have earned your stripes, yes.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. I was really hoping they would play Pizza Girl from their TV show Jonas, but they hate that song, so oh well.
Great. Well, our next award is going to go to Camp Snooze-a-Lot. Normally at camp, this would be the person who falls asleep first, or the person who sleeps in, or the person that you can play pranks on, like you can dip their hand in water, or I don't know. I wouldn't play pranks like this, Kayla. Maybe you would.
I would never.
But in our Camp Rock podcast, it's to who gives the weakest performance. Like, who do you kind of, maybe you fast forward during their scenes, or who just kind of gives a performance that is not up to par. Who are your thoughts?
I literally only wrote down one person, and I wrote it down in the first 5 minutes, and it is Mitchie's dad.
Oh, interesting. I love it.
Because I forgot that he was even in the movie, because I always go, oh, Mitchie's mom, but then I'm like, oh, Mitchie's dad is here? I forgot.
That's so funny. I have him in a category that's coming up that is, it's not like totally opposite. I think we're both getting to the same thing, but it's,
Yeah.
I love that you put him here. Because as a young person, you definitely should, as I feel all adults should. There are, by and large, too many adults in this movie taking up way too much screen time. That is one of the things that I think High School Musical did a little bit better, was they got the old people out of the room and they let the young people do their thing. We see way too many old people in this movie. Mine are Joe Jonas, Act 1. So I'm putting him in a theatrical context. I think when he's being like pop star Shane Gray, he is not excellent in this movie. And it almost made me wonder if they filmed the movie in order, because he seems to get better as it goes along.
Yeah.
And I know that's not how they shoot movies, but I was thinking of it as if it were a play, and I was like, yeah, he's getting better. But it's really because he's dropping the pretension of being this kind of bratty superstar, and he's just being this really charming guy, which, you know, for all I know, he is. And it made me think about all the things that those brothers were going through at the time with the interviews and the purity rings and all those things that got blown all out of proportion. And now they're like, okay, Joe, you have to be a jerk. And so he was doing an impression of being a jerk, but it wasn't a great impression. So yeah. Joe Jonas, Act 1, gets a weakest performance nod.
I'm Shane Gray, for crying out loud.
Allison Stoner, who I totally love, and I'm not blaming this on her. I just don't think she has enough to do. She is like one of the only... No, let me take that back. She is one of the few talented people in this movie. Girl has been dancing since she was a kid, was in like Missy Elliott videos and Eminem videos. You can find her all over the place. They did not give her a space to do what she does best. You have quoted like one of her famous opening lines.
Oh, of course.
To me when she meets Mitchie.
Check me out.
In like 4 seconds of punching keys on her
Check me out. Cool.
keyboard. And then even like she literally gets the plug pulled from her during her performance in the movie.
Yeah, her little Nintendo 8-bit kind of thing.
Yeah. And she... they can tell that Shane Gray is liking her performance, so they pull the plug from it. So other than being kind of a foil to Mitchie and being almost like her Jiminy Cricket, like her conscience, we don't get to see her do her talent, which is a shame because I think she could have elevated the movie in a lot of ways. But to get to the point of why that happens, I'm saying the 4 writers. There were 4 writers who wrote this movie, which goes along with that old thing, like, if you think that Quentin Tarantino is a good writer, just wait till we give him 3 more writers. Like, sometimes 4 writers just make a mess, and sometimes that's what this movie is. Like, there were competing agendas. One of the writers, of course, appears in the movie, Julie Brown, who plays Dee LeDuc, the camp
Oh, that
leader.
explains a lot.
It explains a lot. Holla!
Wow.
And so you just see how... some things that could have come together just didn't, including the performances of some of the very talented leads who didn't get to show off their talents. So I'm saying the 4 writers get my Camp Snooze-a-Lot award. Do better.
I second that.
Do better. But the opposite of this is the Extra Mile Award. Goes to the camper who, goes the extra mile. It's almost like a gypsy robe award.
Yeah.
To call it way back in the day. Someone who was just going for it in the movie. It could be bad, honestly. It could be good. We just know that they're trying really, really hard. And there is a little bit of recognition in the effort. I will put up the aforementioned Daniel Fathers as Brown Cesario. In every scene you see him, he is acting as if he is in a Scorsese movie. Like, he is not disturbed by the Disney over the title. He does not think that he is working with, future pop sensations. He's like, this is my movie. My Oscar is on the way.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna find the grit, the true angst of Brown Cesario. The other one is Julie Brown as Dee LeDuc, our camp headmaster. And it is a case of the old people, like, turning it up to 11 to make sure that they get noticed alongside the young people. And as an old person myself, let me tell you, old people, you ain't gonna get noticed amongst the young people. Let the young people shine. Which leads me to my last one. Your person for your Camp Snooze-a-Lot, I thought it was Steve Torres.
Mitchie's dad.
Edward Johns. Steve's as Mitchie's dad. Because I actually had to look up to see if he was Mitchie's dad or Mitchie's stepdad. Because what he gets in this movie is like major stepdad vibes. Because no regular dad that I have ever met has ever been that excited or that happy to like be around his teenage daughter at the barbecue and really invested in her Camp Rock. Like, he was so excited to give her the news, he didn't even want to wait. He gives off major, I am applying to be your stepdad type vibes to me, and he was definitely going the extra mile, so he wins that patch from me. What about you, Miss Kayla?
I actually also put Brown. This is the one where I said I was going to put Brown, but then I found out that he's actually British. Because I just thought it was so extra. Like, I mean, even still, he's going for it. But if he was American, it just adds that extra, like, wow, you chose to do that. But I put him, and I also put Tess. Because I feel like I mean, I know it's her character to be extra, but she's, like, fully committing to that extra. And I think that's pretty good.
A little bit of IMDb trivia, and I don't know if it's true, but she apparently dislocated her shoulder while doing the shrugs in Too Cool.
No way. What?
So, here's the thing, because I want two things to be true. I really, really want that to be true, because those shoulder shrugs are out of this world.
Yes.
They are so extra, and she is so not the right mover, dancer to pull those off. But I also don't want her to have experienced any pain in dislocating her shoulder. If those three things can be true, then I definitely want that story to be true, because her dislocating her shoulder during that dance performance,
going for it,
is perfection. That would win all the Camp Rock badges for me.
That's so funny. I have a friend who in high school actually threw out her back doing the whip.
Ooh. How old is she?
She was like 17, 16.
That's too young to throw out your back.
It was a little bit funny.
Our next category is who wins the Firestarter trophy. This would be, of course, when you're at camp, the person who got that fire started. Who's cooking up in this kitchen? Like, if you're stranded on a desert island, Kayla, who do you want there to, get life going from nothing, scraping those sticks together? I have 3 nominees, and they are very kind of underground. Number 1, Mitchie's friend Sarah back at school, who gets the A+.
Oh my god.
What is her story? I feel like we could have an entire movie just around Sarah.
I thought she was going to Camp Rock too, the way she talked about it, and then she was like, not there. I was like, where is Sarah?
Where is Sarah? And I mean, she basically, although she didn't know it, started an entire store line in China based on the phrase she knew in Mandarin. So, hey, Sarah, where are you? Hit us up. We're excited. The Firestarter is definitely not Julie Brown. And Kayla, if you were as old as me, you would know Julie Brown because she used to be on MTV all the time back when MTV had personalities. She was wacky and she was rebellious and she was funny. And she even had like a single that charted on the radio. She was in a movie called Earth Girls Are Easy. She was interesting. She was kind of a part of counterculture back in the 80s. And in this movie, I can't tell if she's still trying to pull the same shtick she pulled back in the 80s or if she's comfortably decided I'm going to be the awkward adult because everything she does in this movie is just...
It's so awkward. When she makes them sing hello to her, my soul left my body and transcended.
Absolutely!
Here at Camp Rock, we sing. So let's hear that again.
We have been to so many camp orientations. We know that speech probably word for word.
I do.
And, like, if she had done it in a super corny way, that would be one thing. Or if she'd done it in, like, a really kind of awkward, funny way, that would be one thing. But it was right in the middle of, like, I don't know whether to laugh or cry, so I'm just going to wait for this to be over. So she's not my fire starter. She is my bucket of water. But here's my fire starter, Kayla. And I hope you appreciate it for different reasons. But it's Kevin Jonas.
Yes.
Everything he does in this movie, for me, is golden. I love it.
It's so good.
I appreciate the fact that you don't think the writing is up to his level, but I love that he embraces it. He's like, this is my role. I'm going to make it happen. Every line he says makes me laugh. I love his awkwardness. I love the fact that he plays that character. He is magical for me in this movie. So he is my fire starter. I'm glad he's not in the movie more, because if he were, he couldn't win this award, but he is fantastic in this film.
I love Kevin. I mean, no spoilers, but in Camp Rock 2, he does get, like, his moment. Like, they put him in a nice position where he gets to have his own thing separate from the other guys. I really appreciate that. So I would put Kevin, and I also would put Allison Stoner, because like you said, and in the same situation as Kevin, the writing is not up to her level. Like, I love her, and she's such a talented dancer, actor, whatever, and they don't get to showcase that for her at all. Like, I don't think she danced, like, once, except for maybe at the end scene in Final Jam, but I don't really count that, because everybody danced at the end scene in Final Jam. So, those are the only two I have for that one. But
our next award goes to Best Nintendo Wii Player. Kayla, did you have a Nintendo Wii?
I absolutely did, Mr. Ian.
Yes! Parties were made even more exciting back in 2008. If you had a Nintendo Wii, especially Wii Sports, there was a lot of fun to be had in drinking and kicking someone's butt in tennis or bowling if you had boards. However, that was so 2008, much as this movie is. So, Kayla, are there things when you watch this movie you think that was so 2008?
The entire opening sequence.
Yes!
So I'm talking the Mitchie's tunes on a CD that she slams into her laptop at the very beginning.
It's the second image of the movie!
That, and then all over her wall, she's got the Tiger Pop, like, magazine, like, posters. I had those. I'm talking Jonas Brothers, Ross Lynch. Like, I had those magazines, and those were all over the wall.
That is awesome. I had the same thought. I loved that in this movie you could tell who the kids were and who the adults were, because the kids all had flip phones and the adults had Blackberries and landlines. And that was how you told how old people were back in the days. Also in 2008, fun fact, the iPhone 3G came out.
Wow.
Which changed the game, my friend Kayla. It had not made it into the big leagues. Otherwise, I think we would have been seeing a lot more of those in this movie. I also think the lack of, like, Twitter in this movie changed a lot of things. We would have known everything. For instance, we don't even know why Shane is in, like, literally, quote, detention, unquote. Like, they canceled a tour because he was being a butthead.
Yeah.
But we have no idea what that incident is. Surely, whatever it was would have resulted in, like, rehab or counseling or prison if you cancel a tour. He has to go be a counselor at summer camp.
Well, but there's your counseling.
There it is. There's your counseling. I love that. You get the one judge who's like, yeah, we recommend counseling. It's like, therefore, we remand you to Camp Rock to be a camp counselor. So he's doing counseling. But we would know what it was, like what the incident was that touched off like this entire movie. We also would have known like what Mitchie's mom was about. They could have checked up on her over there in China and been like, oh yeah, she is just as famous as Mitchie says she is. Or Mitchie is a huge sham. I like in this movie they name drop Nick and Jessica. 2 names that have not been linked together in over a decade. That's sweet. But at the same time, they also say Pharrell, who stands the test of time. You could probably name drop him, even though he's not recording music anymore. He's still behind the scenes as a producer. The one fact I did see that I love that makes this a little 2008 for me is that the entire film was sponsored in part by Aeropostale. That's right. When you're going to find your best Camp Rock looks, come on down to the mall and purchase some Aeropostale.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Our second to last award is the WTF Award. And Kayla, this is for things that 13 years later, we just kind of can't explain, really. We don't know. We're sure that they had good intentions going in, but we're not really sure what happened. The WTF Award, how many nominees do you have for this one?
Quite a few.
Ooh! Wait, do you want to go back and forth on this one?
Sure.
Okay. I think it's important to know that Kayla and I have not discussed our nominees or answers for any of these prior to going in. So it's kind of fun just to have this quick back and forth. You know, we have both been part of camp registrations. You know, you get the cost, you get the hours per day, you also get the camp length. I am wondering, Kayla, how long is this camp? Like, are they there a couple weeks? Have they been there all summer? Is it 4 days? Is it 2 months? I have no clue. There is no, sense of the passage of time in this movie. I'm not sure. I'd believe anything they told me. If they said the movie took place over 3 days, I would say, sign me up. What do you think?
I agree. The only sense of time you really get is at the end where they have the days till final jam thing and they keep taking the numbers off. But I want to say
it's at least 5 days long.
Yeah, at least 5. Yeah. So,
okay.
I mean, if we're going off, Camp CMT, 10 days.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the movie, Mitchie says, it's the best summer of my life. So it makes me think it was, a significant amount of time, but I honestly have no clue.
I couldn't tell you. I put, how did Caitlin not put together Mitchie Torres and Mrs. Torres? Because you very clearly hear her in the kitchen go, oh, hey, Mrs. Torres, where's your daughter? And I'm like, what the, she just said her name is Mitchie Torres.
Very, very true. And they even have another conversation about the Torres surname with Peggy in the scene we talked about earlier. It says, I'm Mitchie Torres. And, Peggy says, oh, is your dad blankety blank? My dad produced one of his things. And yeah, you're right. They should have all been on the look for who is this Torres person. Here's one. How good of a cook is Mitchie's mom? I'm curious. I know that she's just started her business because she says that. But if she's just started her business, then why does she then say, it's summer. Business is slow. That's why I can afford to go and cater this really expensive camp, which is why you're getting discounted tuition. Also, catering in the summer is great business. There are weddings, there are festivals, we're outdoors. That is when catering is rocking things. I also love the scene where it's like, don't talk to me. I have to find a recipe for chili for $300 or whatever she says. It's like, I don't think recipes depend upon numbers. I'm thinking about poor Mitchie coming home and saying, "Hey, Mom, can Sarah from AP Mandarin stay for dinner?" And she says, "I'm sorry, Mitchie, I cooked spaghetti for 4, and I don't have the book for how to cook spaghetti for 5. It's like if you own a catering company, you should know how to make recipes larger for bigger groups. I just wonder how good of a cook poor Mitchie's mom actually is.
I wonder about her business too, because like, correct me if I'm wrong, but if she's like running a catering business, that doesn't necessarily mean she's like the chef, right? Like, she could be the manager, so it's never even stated that she cooks, because I saw that pasta and it looks bland, so I don't know.
It was butter noodles all the way.
I didn't even see butter.
I am a little suspect about the Torres family because, number one, the first image, before you see the CD, Mitchie knocking it in, you see their house, and I'm sorry, that's a pretty nice looking house. So I'm wondering how they can afford that house and Steve's hardware store and Steve's nice barbecue with the yard and Connie's new catering company and Mitchie's bangs, and they can't afford to send her to Camp Rock unless she has a discount. I mean, let's put the dollars together, or let's put together a savings plan for young Mitchie. She deserves it. Girl's got bars.
How is she gonna pay for college?
I don't know, but like, I think they could have, I don't know, maybe she doesn't have a dad. Maybe it's just her and Mom, and they live in an apartment, and then I would understand the struggle, and also Mitchie's shame. She goes through so much work to disguise herself and, you know, to be dishonest to all the people around her. It would make a little more sense if there was more to feel a little insecure about.
Yeah, I was also wondering, like, why does it seem like everybody at that camp has, like, famous parents? Because they're always talking big about their parents. I'm like, okay, are we here to talk about you, or are we here to talk about your daddy? Because I'd rather hear about you.
Well, that's a big one. And that leads me to my other WTF. I have one more. But what is with this movie's fascination with parents? And I think it goes, we have to remember it's a Disney movie. So in some ways, I think Disney just might be putting in messages like, parents are important, family's important, listen to your parents. But there are a few ways in which it goes a bit too far here. Mitchie stealing her mom's clothes, like right from the get-go. She doesn't have clothes. She's like, I'm going to take your top, Mom, and I'm going to wear it to the first jam. And I'm also going to take these earrings. I have not met a teenager in many, many years who's gone to Mom's closet to, like, really impress her friends. Tess is obsessed with that charm bracelet. Tess is obsessed with talking to her mom on the phone. Peggy and Ella ask Mitchie about her dad right after they meet her. When they have that Torres conversation. Oh, Torres, my dad produced it. It's like, no, well, then what does he do? He owns a hardware store. And then they walk away. Like, never have parents been more important in people's lives than they are. And not to mention the biggest scene of the movie when the truth finally gets revealed and all of Mitchie's walls come crumbling down when it's like, yeah, my mom's the caterer. Like, it stops the camp. Everyone stops talking. And even Shane Gray is mortified that Mitchie has lied to him about her mom being the caterer.
She's related to the kitchen help.
Never have so many people cared about a bunch of middle-aged people. It would never happen, but I love that this movie is so fascinated with a bunch of old people.
They're so into it. I had 2 more. I only have 1 more. I crossed out the one, which was, why does Peggy use a fake name? But, as Mr. Leonard and I have figured out moments ago, Peggy is short for Margaret. So when she goes on as Margaret Dupree, that's actually her real name. I thought it was a stage name like Hannah Montana, so I crossed that one off. So then we're left with the one... We're left with this one of just, why doesn't she steal the song?
Yes.
That's the big one.
They make a big to-do about her connecting the dots, about Tess Tyler connecting the dots and sneaking in and taking the journal and looking at the lyrics. And my first instinct was, like any good sitcom, or it's like, oh yeah, no, she's going to take her song.
Yeah.
She's going to use that information, but she kind of doesn't.
It totally shocked me. I thought it was, because it's like a whole Cinderella setup where he's like, you know, everybody wants to be with Shane Gray, and he's looking for this girl that sings this one song. She knows what he wants to hear. She finds the lyrics, so she could easily be like, look, I know the rest of the song, but she doesn't, because she, like, it seems so weird to me that she'd rather, like, you know, win the competition with her own song and get Mitchie thrown out than try and swoop in and steal him for herself. I don't know. It seemed different from what I was expecting.
You gotta plant that charm bracelet in between those two books.
I know, what an obscure place to hide it.
Right in the kitchen. I mean, where else would you put a charm bracelet? This is my final WTF award nominee, and this is a big one, Kayla. So
I'm ready.
I'm going to need you to put on your Sherlock Holmes cap for this one.
It's on.
At what point, Miss Kayla, does Tess have Lola Scott killed? Who does it? In what room? And how come no one even talks about her dying in the middle of the movie?
Wait.
I know she's worried about winning Final Jam, but at some point in this movie, Lola Scott disappears without a trace.
Which one is Lola?
She's the one we see at the very beginning, at the first get together, and she does the number. She's super tall.
Oh,
She
with the
jean
hair.
shorts.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
the jean shorts. She rocks her number. She's awesome.
Okay.
And then she's in the movie a little bit more.
And then
But then at one point, I'll have to go back and rewatch it, but she disappears and she is not in Final Jam, which leads me to believe that Tess had her killed, and I would like to know how that happened. That is my biggest
Interesting.
question.
Was she not part of the Hasta La Vista crew?
I don't think, I'll have to look, but I don't think she was. But honestly, Anna Maria Perez de Tagle was. She had a special jacket for it. She knew all the words and the choreo. So how long had she been planning her defection from Tess Tyler?
I think Tess killed her in the boathouse
Yes,
noon.
Something with feathers.
Like
and
during lunch hour.
Wow.
Strangled with a feather boa.
Ooh. That Tess, she'll get you every time. I hear that she wouldn't do her own dirty work, and that she would send, like, Ella out to do it. Poor Ella.
Not Ella.
Oh, man. All right. Well, those were some great awards we were able to pass out. I guess it's time to get down to the final one, and that is Camper of the Year. That's the one we give out at the end of camp, and we just say, hey, you have been awesome. We're really glad you were here. No matter what, we will always think of you as the best thing that happened to the camp this year. Who do you have as your Camper of the Year, Miss Kayla?
Well, I already told you at the beginning that my answer is very biased. So I will put it out there. My Camper of the Year, quote unquote, is Joe Jonas, my love. And that is because anytime I'm going to rewatch this movie, hands down, the only reason I come for the movie, stay for the movie, finish the movie is for Joe Jonas. And 2009 Joe Jonas hair, where it was like kind of curly, is like the best. I will argue until the day I die that was his best hairstyle ever. He's beautiful. He is still beautiful. His wife is beautiful.
Everything is beautiful.
Everything about him is beautiful.
Everything he touches.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think too much about it just because I love him so much. Like, I love the other guys too, but Joe has always been my favorite, always will be my favorite, so my Camper of the Year definitely goes to Joe Jonas.
Fantastic. I'm a big fan of his as well. I wish the writers had just taken another angle to deal with him. I wish they'd made him, they could make him a pop star, but make him misunderstood and not a brat. I think they were trying.
Pleasant and agreeable.
make him like socially awkward or someone stuck in his own fame, but kind of just kind. But they intentionally made him not pleasant to watch. But I do love him in this movie, and especially the more the movie goes, the more I tend to like him. My camper of the year goes to one Demetria Devon Lovato.
Yes.
I really enjoy when movies announce a new person, where you can point to a movie and say, oh yeah, like, oh, that was Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. Even though she'd been in movies prior to that, it was like, that was the movie that, like, put her stamp on things. And I feel like this was the movie where people met Demi Lovato, and there are things in her performance which are just so charming that you kind of can't, no matter what director you have or what writer you have, like, you can't coach. And I really love that scene at the boathouse when she's just listening to Joe sing and she gets a smile on her face, and you think that is a young person just loving life, loving what is about to come. And I think all of her career that has followed and the struggles that she's gone through, it is really fun to look back at a movie like Camp Rock as a time of innocence and fun. All the things that we remember in 2008 when writers were on strike and the global economy was collapsing and Heath Ledger died. Oh, 2008, thank you for bringing us this treasure that was Camp Rock. We will remember it always.
Thank you, 2008. And thank you, Ian, for coming on the podcast. I look forward to our second episode.
Kayla, this was so fun because what's going to happen ideally is I'm going to pick a movie. I think I want to make it a camp theme just to make it completely fair, or something maybe musical. And then you will come up with the categories. And I'm excited to hear your take on a movie that I'm sure has like passed its expiration date times 1,000, and get your takes on that. Thank you so much for having me. This was alternately scary and very delightful, especially since I got to talk to one of my favorite friends.
Yes, we have loved having you. I can't wait for our next one. So stay tuned if you enjoyed hearing Ian. Shout out, Mom. We're talking about you on the side here.
Mrs. K!
All right, Ian, I will talk to you next time.
Bye!
Bye!